Welcome to the channel, guys. Martin here. Thank you so much for watching. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the differences between a cross-lease and a freehold property. If you're new to the channel, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that thumbs up button. Every single one helps, and subscribe to the channel. This is where I deliver a whole lot of content, knowledge, things to help you with your buying and selling journeys, and also doing walkthroughs of my listings as well. So I get the question all the time around freehold and cross-lease properties, especially from the likes of first home buyers, which I know a lot of you are watching this channel today. So it's essentially this. You have one patch of land, and at some point in time, someone has subdivided that, put another house on it, and back in the sort of between the 50s and the 90s, they would cross-lease that land. That's the road, and you've got a patch of land like that. I don't know if you can see that, right? And then the house might be here. And then someone decides to put in a driveway and put another house at the back. Okay, and put a fence and a fence. And that becomes, it was number 18, and now it's number 18A. Okay, that's a pretty shitty drawing. So basically, what is the difference? A cross-lease property is basically one piece of land, like that, right? It's one lot, one piece of land that has two different owners, okay? Both owners share the land. They share the ownership of the land. One might own a half and the other owns a half. That's usually most common. You might get thirds and two-thirds or something like that. But usually it's a cross-lease situation, so they both own a half of the land. Now usually the section of the land that they own is not defined. So they don't have a specific half or another specific half. So oftentimes people say, well, I say it's a half of 1,000 square meters, and the buyer might say, oh, so they've got 500 square meters of land. That technically might be how much they own, but it's not how much they occupy on the land. Okay. Now, so what a cross-lease does is that you both own a share of the land each, and then each person has a lease back to themselves that they can occupy the house. Okay, so each person can occupy the house. And then sometimes, not all cross leases, but some cross leases will have a situation where you have the right to occupy a section of the land. Okay, so there'll be a defined area of the land that you can occupy. Now, with a cross lease, if you want to do anything to your house inside the walls of your house, like renovate it, change some walls around, as long as everything abides by council rules, you don't need anyone else's permission, i.e. the other owner. If you want to change the footprint of your house, if you want to put a deck outside, you want to build a fence, move a driveway, if you want to add on an extra room and these sorts of things on the outside footprint of the house, you need the other owner's permission. Now this is where things get sticky and people don't like cross leases because of that reason. But in actual fact, you need to think about it the other way around. Sure, it might make it hard for you to get permission from the other owner to build a deck or build a fence and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you've got a good relationship with your neighbor, if the alterations that you want to do are going to increase the value of your house, that's going to increase the value of his house too, right? So why would he say no at the end of the day, right? Sure, there'd be other situations and that sort of thing, but if you abide by the council rules and regulations, build it to the building code, right? Update the limb, the property file, and the title, which are also things that you should do when you do these things, then why would he say no, right? Think about it the other way around. What if your neighbor decided that he wanted to turn his house into a dairy, which he wouldn't be allowed to do, but you know, if he just went ahead and did that and he didn't get your permission, right? Or what if he decided to you know, knock down half of his house and build something out the back that he wasn't allowed to do? You know, he didn't get your permission to do that, right? So these are the sorts of things a cross-lease actually protects your investment as well as restricts you from doing other things. It's like a body corporate. People don't like body corporates because they think about the body corporate fees, right? And they just think about the cost involved. But in actual fact, the body corporate is there to protect your investment. If you own an apartment in an 18 apartment building and one of the neighbors decides to paint his apartment pink, it's going to devalue the rest of the apartments in the building, right? He wouldn't be allowed to do that under a body corporate. All right, so that's the way you need to think about things. Don't get me wrong, a freehold property is always going to be better than a cross lease, and don't confuse a cross lease with a leasehold. A leasehold is different. Leasehold is when you don't own the land at all, you just pay rent for the land. Cross-lease property, you do own the land, but you own it in shared with the other owner, okay? So freehold is definitely better. If you can afford to buy freehold, then absolutely you should. But a lot of you out there, you're not going to be able to afford to buy freehold, and you might have to consider that you have to drop your expectations and buy something that's on a cross-lease. Cross-leases are not the end of the world. Plenty of good situations happen on cross-leases, especially if you can get something with its own driveway. If you're not sharing a driveway, that's a plus. Again, sharing a driveway, of course it could be, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons, it might not be ideal. But in any case, there's nothing actually wrong with a cross-lease. Don't listen to the people out there that are telling you that there is. Just get educated and understand exactly what you're buying and whether you need to actually consider buying cross-leases because you can't afford to buy a freehold property. I hope that brings you guys some value. I hope that helps. Like I said before, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit me with a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.